Hello and welcome to Mr. Saucedo's YouTube videos. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about phylogeny. So keep in mind, right, that DNA and traits can be used to study evolutionary history. And so there are different parts to a phylogenetic map or a phylogenetic tree. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk about what the features mean, okay? So the first thing you need to know is that anytime you are drawing a phylogenetic tree or a phylogeny diagram or whatever you want to call it, we always have a root. And so a root is a starting place, and it could be a hypothetical common ancestor. Okay, it could be, or it could be, an actual known organism. Now, taxons are the species that we find at the end of the trees. So species F, species E, species D, all of the lettered ones, those are called taxons because those are species that we know of that are at the end on the opposite side of our tree. A node represents a common ancestor between two species. So each one of these little forky guys here has a node. Okay, so all of these little things would be nodes. Now, a branch is literally just an extension from common ancestor to another common ancestor to a species. So all of these lines are technically branches. So all the horizontal lines that you see are branches. Now, clades are groups of related organisms that all share a common ancestor. So technically, all of these could be a clade, so this entire thing, or you can choose a subset. So if we choose all these guys, they do all share a common ancestor, right? I could choose these guys. They share a common ancestor. And so clades are just groups that share a common ancestor. Now, if we're comparing a very complex tree, it might get a little bit difficult, but there are two ways that I've always seen phylogenetic trees represented. And so I like this one more. And so this is the branchy one. Another way of drawing them, right, is to draw them as kind of a diagonal, but all of the features are still there, okay? We still have our little hypothetical common ancestors. We still have our branches. We have our taxons. All of this stuff stays the same. But the reason why I'm showing you this one is because it includes derived characters. So what they're trying to say is everything above this line has vertebrae. Everything above this line has a bony skeleton. Everything above this line has four limbs. Everything above this line has hair. And so they're trying to give you a little bit more information about the organisms themselves, and we call those derived characters. Now, again, it can be arranged in trees or ladders, and so this is a ladder representation. The previous one was a tree, and so phylogeny, though, is just the study of evolutionary lineage between species, and so they can get really complicated. And this diagram does look really complicated. But the idea is that we're looking at a specific type of sauropod. Okay, so we're looking at some dinosaurs here. And so again, we have our nice little ladder. Everything above here is a derived character. And notice that the derived characters for these are pretty complicated. Decreased skull size, tall leaf-shaped teeth, long neck, possible small beak on dentary, right? And so they're trying to give you a lot of information about this, okay? And then again, as we go up here, we're looking at how closely related these things are. So the closer they are to each other, the more closely related they are. The further they are away from each other, the less similar they should be because they have less derived characters in common, and more importantly, I guess, they are sharing a further common ancestor or a common ancestor that's further away from them.